Hello, thanks for tuning in. One second. Sorry, had to let the dog in. Gross. I don't have one LWK. We got a few people in here. It doesn't seem like anybody's chiming in, or too many people chiming in yet, so we'll see what happens. Let's see what you're all about. Why am I not seeing the chat? Very weird. Sorry, Cool King, my my chat wasn't working there for a minute. Welcome aboard. What is going on with my stupid chat? Very frustrating. Well, hello everyone. Not a very lively group yet, so sorry about that. Lemmy, how are you? Glad to see you back. I was on last night, but it was super late, so had internet issues. Did you get a chance to look for that book that I recommended for you? Oh, good, I'm glad. I think you're going to like it. Yeah, no worries, Lemmy. I really hope you like it. I still will pick that up now and again and read chapters from it. Kind of keeps me thinking. So once you get it, I mean, you can read it straight through, but the beauty of it is you can also read the chapters separately, because each chapter is about a separate thing, and it's got a separate story or historical facts to do that. So I'm glad you got it ordered. I didn't know if it would still be around or not, because I've had that book for a long time. How's your weekend, Dirty Muffler? How's Hogwarts? It's fantastic. You have no idea how fantastic it is. Lemmy, how's your weekend? Oh, okay, yeah, I hadn't looked for it in so long. You know, sometimes as books age, they're not always. I mean, I'm sure they're still around because that was a pretty popular book, but you never know. Pass on your team. Well, that's good. Yeah, in fact, I probably should pull that out one of these days and reread some of it. I haven't done it in a while. I do occasionally, but I really need to do it again. That was a good discussion we had. I guess was that on Wednesday? I guess it was on Wednesday. Had a nice or a good group of people involved in our conversation. You know, pretty uneventful, really, the weekend. Hanging out with the dogs mostly. I look like Henry Winkler. Wow. Okay, if you say so, oh God. Hey, Bella, how are you? Thanks for coming back. Brian May. I was on pretty late last night. Sorry about that. That was really only due to the internet issues again. So I'm a little tired today. More than normal. That's okay, Lemmy. I get it a lot. But thank you. I appreciate your saying that. Yeah, I don't. Mine are. Well, one of them's here. She likes to come in and sit at my feet when I'm doing this, and then the other one's out in the other room. The Fonz. Wow. Yeah, I remember when the Fonz was popular back in the 70s. It was quite the phenomenon. I like your little emoji, Bella. Is that a fish? It looks like a fish. My eyes are so bad right now. Looks kind of like a Dory from Finding Nemo a little bit. Yeah, we talked a lot about food last night, Lemmy and Bella. Bella was there for a little bit of it. And I was hoping Geese would come back tonight so I could hear about how his brisket turned out. He'd been, yes, Lemmy, it is. That's, I did a short on that. I did a couple shorts on it, I think. But yeah, I don't have a big farm, but that was part of it. And, but yeah, those are my oysters. It's funny, yeah, because like I said, we talked food last night, which was good. It's always fun to talk about food. And I'm trying to keep this. I don't mind a lot of the joking around, but I'm trying to keep it more as much positive and motivational stuff as possible. Just people seem to like that, so I'm gonna try and keep it that way. I mean, again, I love humor, but we'll see how it goes. Cash Bandit. Corn and oyster. Yeah, no, I've been to the Midwest once, and there were clearly, I don't know where you're talking about, but there was a lot of cornfields that I drove through for miles and miles and miles with nothing but farmland. Beautiful country, but just different than where I'm at. Corn and Amish. Oh, okay. Gives me a rough idea of where you're at. And they make fine furniture, for sure. Nebraska cornfields. Yes. Yeah, there's a couple of Nebraska, Iowa, and that whole area there, and there, as I drove through some of that area, I couldn't believe, like I said, just you could drive for 50 miles and all you saw on either side of the road were farms with a variety of crops, but a lot of corn for sure. Yeah, Lemmy, I agree. I mean, again, I don't mind some of it, but when it gets like, when they start pointing fingers at people, and I can take it, whatever they want to say about me, some of the regulars, but I don't want them to go after anybody else. Yeah, I've never been back in that neck of the woods, Lemmy, but I'm sure that it's very similar. Especially, and then this time of year, I imagine it would be with all the crops kind of fully reaching maturity. It'd be interesting to see. Cornbread and butter. Yeah, that would be good. That'd be good right now, actually. But not all corn. I've had cornbread a few times, and not all of it is. It's all good, but there's always kind of like everything else. There's somebody makes a really good cornbread, and that's good. And when it's warm, put that warm butter on it. Man, that's good. Pumpkin bread. Oh, pumpkin bread's good too. I mean, I kind of don't like that everything turns into pumpkin in October, but all the flavors. But pumpkin bread is really good, or pumpkin muffins, same. Who was it that made the Costco had some really good pumpkin muffins a couple years ago. Oh, really, Bill? I didn't know that. GMO cornbread. Yeah, probably. I'll have to check that out, Bella. I don't think I've ever made cornbread. I've eaten it plenty of times, but never made it. And I'm all about easy when it comes to cooking or baking. I'll look it up for sure, because that would be good. Some warm bread with butter. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's yeah, because you can't, especially pumpkin and zucchini. I mean, you can keep them for a while, but if you have so much of it, you got to turn it into something. And by turning it into the bread, then if you don't, you can make a bunch of it and freeze it if it's wrapped right. But zucchini bread's good too. Again, any warm kind of, not any warm bread, but most bread warm with butter is that's a treat. But yeah, the pumpkin and zucchini, it's a way to kind of prolong the shelf life. Oh yeah, well, you know what? It seems like a lot of grandmas make that kind of stuff, and it always seems to have tasted better than when we make it. MSG. Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, I hear you, Bella, for sure. No, not being defensive. It's easier for me to sit like this than hunched over, so I just lean back. But if I lean back too far, then it's too much. So I'm just sitting like this to kind of prop myself up. I am relaxing. For me, I relax this way, and it's also I don't know, just easier to put my arms like this. If I was defensive, I'd just turn off the camera. So sorry about that. I know a lot of people say that's defensive posture, and maybe it is for some, but it's not for me. Well, I don't. Somebody brought it up. Um, that's just the way I like to sit. And more so as you get older, it's probably more comfortable, I suppose. Okay, I get it, Clint. Yeah, you're right when you thaw it out, for sure. I agree with you, Lemmy. But the bread will keep much better, obviously, especially if you wrap it. If you double wrap it and put it in the freezer, it'll keep for months and still taste pretty good when you pull it out of the freezer. Part of your old job. Fair enough, Clint. I get it. Um, yeah, muffins are always fun. Salt content in the ocean same. Muffin tops. Yeah. Dano, I'm well. How are you? Really? Good grief. Oh my God. Oh yeah, honey's always good. I love honey. Yeah, peanut. Well, like peanut butter and honey sandwiches too. Uh, Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So that typically, at least where we're at, the controls are just such that because they're grown naturally here. So the environmental controls are more about checking the quality of the water. Um, there's a few things that naturally happen that sometimes can keep the shellfish from being harvested, but typically where we're at, we don't get very much of that, and so it's pretty clean. Now the real process starts after they're picked up off the beach. So they have X amount of time, depending on the time of year it is and the temperature, external temperature. Um, they have uh, they have I can't remember the hours right now for this time of year, but you have X amount of hours to have it in a refrigeration truck, into the refrigerator, or on ice, and there's records kept at each step of the way. So there's a timestamp when they pick it up, a timestamp when they get it to refrigeration, timestamp when they take it to a restaurant. There's probably, by the time you get it to a restaurant, there's been half a dozen checks. Oh yeah, Snowball. I fell asleep last night. Can you? And I didn't check it. What was? Give me the name again, Snowball, because I'm going to look it up tonight. I have to do that because I said I would. What are you watching? Well, I have heard about the honey local to your area. Okay, Clint. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. So sorry, Snowball. I was so tired last night. Vanderlyn. I'm writing it down here. I hope this isn't one of those where I look it up and go, well, that was a mistake. So we're going to find out. Okay, I've got it pulled up, Snowball, so I'm going to read about it. No, it's fine. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I pulled it up on my screen so I can read about it now. Don't give honey to babies. Got it. I got it, Snowball. And I can screenshot this too, so I'll remember the names as well. But like I pulled it up, so I now I can look it up. Yeah, Bella. Local. I mean, they claim that they, meaning experts, whoever they may be, claim that the stuff in your area tends to be better because it's packed with the whatever stuff helps you from that area. And Lemmy, sorry, I hope I answered your question about the oysters. Did that make sense, what I said? Yes, correct, Lemmy. So the oysters that we have now, at least in my area, are not the oysters that were indigenous here. They were they're an oyster that was brought in from Japan back in the 1920s. And that's what typically grows here in my area now. But technically now, after 100 years, they're regular oysters. Yeah, yes. It's not that they're not looking at them in the water, but that typically is the best part of it because they're in their natural environment. So if there's no water issues, they're safe. I mean, where I grew up, I know dozens of people that eat them straight off the beach every day, raw. No, they're not considered invasive. They were brought here on purpose by some people from Japan who thought they would grow here, and they did, and then they started to, uh, you know, grow them commercially. Because before that, it was something called, most of what was around here, there were oysters, but not the one that we call the Pacific oyster. It was not here. It wasn't native. Zorlonius, have you never had an oyster before? And they are, yes, a bit chewy. I hope this isn't going to some bad joke, but yeah, they're a bit chewy. Not like chewy, but a little bit. Gigawatts. I don't remember. It was 1 point something giga. I don't even remember. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Hypocrite. I couldn't remember that number. Dano, yeah, sometimes if they're not handled properly, they can make you sick, and also they're very rich. So if you eat too many of them, they can upset your stomach. No, if they're oysters, at least I've never heard of an oyster growing in fresh water. So, um, so everything here is in the salt water. Well, here's the funny thing, Dan, was I grow them, but I don't eat them. They're not my thing. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Dan. Yeah, they're not my thing, but I know people that love them. So, and technically they are full of a lot of nutrients. So, hey, Miranda, welcome back. Well, the oysters that we grow here, Zorlonius, are not, the ocean or the water here isn't toxic at all. Did I cook anything today? Today, Miranda, I did not. I did I did a meal yesterday. I didn't post it on here, but I will post it here. It was kind of it was a chicken Alfredo, but it's not a traditional chicken Alfredo. It was made with some boxed components, but I put it together based on a recipe, and it was really good, but it wasn't fresh. Do you ever find any pearls? Dana, I've never heard of anybody finding pearls here in our area. But there is, when you see the inside of the oyster shell, you can see where what we call, it looks like a pearl essence. The colors change inside the shell. So, no wampum from the shells. The shells make great pathways, though. They crush them and turn them into walkways. Well, again, they are on the bottom, but you have to, if there's no toxins in the water, they're not eating toxins. So now there are places around the world where it is toxic to have the oysters, but not where we're at. You know, I think it depends where the oysters are located. I know there's places in Asia where they grow them, but they can't eat them really because the water's dirty. You want to see an oyster on the stream. Well, the tide's not low now, so I couldn't go get one, but maybe one day I'll bring them. People get crazy infections from shark bites. Yeah, apparently they carry bacteria in their mouth, just like a dog or anything else. So, but usually the infection from the shark bite is, I guess as you're being bit, probably would be not. Yeah, I don't eat oysters, Alani. It's not going to happen. Medicinal shark bites. Never heard of that, but okay. Freshwater pit bulls. I believe Big Pharma? Why would you say that? Not aware of that, Miranda. I didn't know that. Yeah, they're not really my thing. I'm not a salesman. Oysters, I grow them. It's different. I don't do any of the selling or marketing of it at all. I grow them, somebody else comes and harvests them. Well, Zalornius, if you want to come out here after dark and dive for them in the high tide, feel free. Well, I think technically we've opened up a can of oysters, Lemmy. No, and it's fine. I'm glad you asked. Yes, I've heard of medicinal marijuana. How do I grow oysters? Well, they grow naturally, but you can also improve the, or speed up the process by buying seed and laying the seed down on the beach. Sometimes they grow them in bags, but usually they're laid out on the beach after they get to be a certain size, and they just grow. There's really not much to that process. So it's I don't want to say it's simple, but it's simple on the surface. So what happens is the seed is spit out into the water about this time of year. Actually, they've already spawned. So they spawn, send out millions of seed, and those tiny microscopic seeds will attach to something, whether it's a rock or another oyster shell. Now you can do that in captivity. Take those same oysters, attach them, and they grow them into seeds. And usually by the time you get them, they're about as big as my thumbnail, so maybe a half an inch. And then you place those on the beach, or you place them into bags where they can grow. And then once they grow up to another, maybe an inch, inch and a half, then you can take them out of the bags and spread them out on the beach. Technically, I guess they're animals, but that's what they call them when they're being produced. They say, how many animals did you get? So I don't know if they're technically animals or not, but they're a living organism. Yeah, and you can fit, like when you buy the super small seed, you can get in a bag size of like a plastic grocery bag, you easily get 1 million seed in there. They do not mate. They don't move. So once the oyster sets, unless the tide moves it, the oyster itself doesn't move. And the bags will help keep the predators from eating up all the small oysters. Hypocrite, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You mean skin to human seed? No. So what happens is if they do it commercial, like in a tank, when the oysters are ready to spawn, they have other fragments of shell in the tank, and that spawn will then attach to that oyster shell and form a new oyster. And it starts tiny, like just a few millimeters, and then it'll grow. So, and then they take it from that phase in that tank, they grow them up to a certain size, maybe, I don't know, 10 to 20 millimeters, and then they can take them out and put them in a bag and get them out on the beach. Priscilla, you love my hairstyle. Well, thanks, I guess. It is vintage 80s. How did you know? The seeds come from, so the oyster, imagine, I don't have an oyster on me, I wish I did, but imagine the oyster's like this, and so it will actively spawn. It just simply opens up its shell and spits out the spawn, and will catch on anything it can. It'll just connect to anything it can link to. Sea monkeys, yeah, I don't know the sea monkeys, but yeah, probably similar. Well, you know, Miranda, I'm sure there's things you know about that I don't. Unless you're exposed to oysters, which is most people aren't, you wouldn't know about that. And the clams are a little bit different, but similar. They still spawn out, but then that small seed, you lay it on the ground, and it'll burrow itself down into the ground, and then it'll stick its neck up to feed out of the sand. Elijah, man, thanks for coming back. To an eatery? I don't know. I think, so the people that harvest for me, they will then take it to a restaurant. I'm well, Elijah, how are you? So they will harvest them, and I don't know what they're getting at the restaurants now. Probably about, I would guess, between $7 and $9 a pound, depending on the size. And they're graded based on, a lot of people like the small oysters, which we call smalls, and that's what you'll see on the half shell typically. I do remember the sea monkeys back in the set, but I never had one. Oh, you're welcome, Lemmy. I mean, there's plenty of other people who know more than me. I know enough, right? But I live near the beach, yes, and there's tons of oyster growers right in my area. There's all around the state of Washington, wherever there's salt water. There's, at least the inland areas, there's tons of oysters being grown. Elijah, there's no freshwater oysters. Never eat sea oysters? I don't know. I've kind of been around it all my life, but I got into it really got into it probably, I don't know, 25 years ago. But I was aware of it even before that. Just growing up in my area, we knew people that were in the oyster business. Clams don't eat chickens. We do have clams here as well. We've also got a giant clam called a geoduck, spelled geoduck, G-E-O duck, and those get to be as big as a football sometimes, and they're a prize. They're very valuable. I don't know the lifespan of an oyster, but I know they can 10, 15 years at least, maybe longer. But typically after about, depends on the area they grow in, but typically between 18 and 24 months, you're going to harvest them after being put down on the beach. And sometimes faster than that. In some areas you can get a crop in 12 months from start to finish, from the time they put it on the beach until it's harvested. My farm here is probably about 24 months, a little slower growing area. But the nice thing is, if you don't harvest them now, in 6 months, it's not like corn, for instance, or some other crop that on a farm, where you lose the product. The oysters are still feeding. They get larger, so they're not quite as valuable the larger they get, but how much space is the farm? Mine's not very big. I mean, the part I showed was probably where there was all the oysters were probably, I don't know, that's probably 10,000 square feet is all, so a quarter of an acre. But we have the largest oyster person in the country is in place called Shelton, Washington, and they grow hundreds of millions of oysters a year. Theft is tough, but I have a couple of beaches that I own. Dan, I've never had a freshwater mussel. You can lease the beaches. There are some state-owned beaches that you can lease, and some of the larger companies can do that. It's not very profitable for a smaller farmer like me. And the person I deal with doesn't actually grow any oysters. They simply harvest and then take them to restaurants and sell them. The leases aren't that expensive if you're big, but for a small guy to pay that, the price you're paying for the lease kind of eats into, or basically takes up all your, or most of your profit. Whereas a big guy can afford to, they can afford to do that because they can do it in larger volume. We don't get pearls, Idaho, in our oysters here. Mine's pretty well protected, but there are places in the Sound where they grow the oysters and they have to, they never take them out of the bags to grow them, and they're tied to lines so that the wind and stuff doesn't blow them all over the place. Well, in our state, Raid, we are allowed to own tidelands here, which is the beach. So a fair portion of the tidelands are owned by homeowners who live on the beach, or by the larger tracts are owned by some by the state, some by big private oyster companies. I'm in the state of Washington, Miranda. I think there's only 3 states that allow ownership of the tidelands. No, it's not a dumb question. Let me, oh, what happened to my, good grief, I hate it when they do that to me. Do I give tours? No. But I think there are some places where you can go see. There's a place called Hama Hama Oyster Company on Hood Canal, and they have an oyster bar right there. So they bring the oysters right up off the beach, and you can eat them however you want them. So, and you can see the beach up close. So it's pretty cool. So, yeah, you can lease, so you could lease from a private person, and some people do. So technically the person that is harvesting my oysters would lease my beach from me. But you can also lease it from, I don't think there's a lot of federal beaches here. I think all the beaches are either owned by private people or the state here. So it's a little bit different than other states for certain things. But they don't sell any tidelands anymore. So unless you bought them pre-1971, you can buy other people's, but the state no longer sells off any of their tidelands. Raid, I'm sure she would have something to say about it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And there's also another thing that if you bought them before or after 1911, which had something to do with statehood here and all that, so that dictates how far out you own from the shoreline or the uplands. And in some cases where we call a run out, you could only have 30 or 40 feet, and that's an extreme low tide. And in other places, because it's flat, there's places where it could go out 500, 600, 700 feet or more. Whole bays go dry. And so, yeah, I call it a crop. Oh, why am I getting this stuff on my screen? Sorry. Too slimy? Yeah, I don't blame you. They're a little slimy for me too, but that's just me. I mean, people love them. I don't have to like it. I wish I grew corn, because then I would eat all my crop. No, I'm happy about that, Lemmy. Yeah, a lot of people love oysters. I'm trying to just stay positive and motivational because it helps me to kind of not be a gloomy Gus, and if I can help somebody else, and because I learn stuff on here too from people, so it's not like it's just me, but I like it when it's more upbeat, just more my style. Oh, you Googled oyster seeds. Okay. Yeah, there's a big hatchery in there's one in Hawaii because it's a little easier to grow year round. Our waters get a little cold. It is competitive, JJ, but it's for me, I don't have to get the clients like the restaurants or markets or anything like that. I simply grow the oysters. Somebody leases the beach or just comes and pays me, and then it's on them after that point. Dano, thank you for that. Hang on. Do I have to lock? Oh, look after them like you do livestock? No, not really. Not nearly as much. I mean, yeah, you need to check on them to make sure something hasn't happened or theft or anything like that, but it is a little bit hands-off in the sense that you don't have to tend to them every day like you would livestock, if that makes sense. Is it a tough business? Yeah, kind of, because the margins are pretty slim, especially for the people once they purchase it from me. The oyster eats basically it's bottom feeder, so anything that falls to the bottom they eat, and all the shellfish, they clean the waters. They help. The more shellfish you have in the water, the cleaner your waterway will be. Yeah, Miranda, I get it. And Richard Gere. Okay, well, that's better than Doc Brown from whatchamacallit, Back to the Future. No staff at all, Lemmy. So if I'm growing the oysters on my beach, whoever leases the beach for me, that's why the grower doesn't make a lot of money, because there's no way to upcharge or change the charge. It's just they pay X amount per pound, or per dozen. Clams are by the pound. Per dozen they pay you, and then they take them away. So I literally would have, I don't, but let's say I could have 100 acres of oysters growing, and that would be, I could manage that all myself, because whoever leased it would come in and do all the harvesting, do everything. I am not living in waders, no. But the people who are on the beach every day, they do live in boots a lot. I don't even have to connect with that. So once you find somebody that's good and pays well, you're kind of done. So it's your job to keep, maintain the oysters, make sure that things aren't happening to them or whatever. But so yeah, it's you can manage a lot if you don't have a crew to do the harvesting. One person can manage a lot of beaches. It is far more streamlined. You make a little less money, but no stress. Oh, 4 days in a hotel. Oh my God. That would be awful to smell. Theft, they could die. Sometimes the seed isn't good. In fact, I had a crop 6 years ago. 90% of it died. That's pretty harsh, Reed. Yeah, and it happens. It's there was nothing wrong with the water. The seed just wasn't strong, and a lot of the growers, because I bought my seed from the bigger growers, and many of them had the same issue that year. Yeah, less stress is worth every penny. And also, I'm once they leave the beach, I'm not liable for any mishandling of the oyster. So the minute they pick them up, my liability ends, which is great. Not that I have anything to hide, it's just oysters, because if they're mishandled, there's lawsuits from them. It's not from the oysters themselves being bad, it's from the mishandling of the oysters on delivery to the restaurants. Because so many people don't follow the right protocol. I shouldn't say so many. There's a few that make it bad, for like in anything else. There's a handful of people that make it bad by not taking the proper precautions and making sure the oysters are healthy and being handled correctly. You know, Miranda, I've never done an Airbnb, but I know people that have had success with it. But I know what you mean, not having them in their home. Yeah, Ray, the temperature. So once like in the wintertime, you have a longer period of time, because let's say the average temperature is 40 to 45 degrees in our state. Well, when you take that out of the water and put it in the truck, it's still 45 degrees inside the truck. So you have a little bit longer time frame. But like we were just talking about here a minute ago, where they left them out for days, if you were to take the oysters out and leave them in your truck overnight, even in the wintertime, 8, 10, 12 hours, they've gone bad, most likely. So they need to be in a refrigeration area to keep them from turning bad. Yeah, Miranda, you may be right. I'm not quite sure, but I know people have had luck with it, but I also know people have not. So really hard to get a second window, because typically you get the seed in the springtime. Sometimes there's some seed left. That was a particularly a year where there was not a lot of seed, so it died by, say, well, it was dead by this time of year. And then it's hard to get seed towards the end of the year. I mean, you can go offshore, meaning go to Hawaii and get it, but even that's still hard. Hey, Soul, thanks for coming. I'm okay, and we got into a conversation about oysters, so I'm glad you're here. And hopefully things have, after our little talk we had the other night, I hope things are great for you. Oh, Oregon coast is beautiful. That's one of the prettiest spots on the planet as far as I'm concerned. I've been down there a few times and I think it's stunning. But there's some oyster, there's a lot of oyster people in Oregon too, not just here. So Soul, tell me about what's going on with you before you take off. I gotta let my dog out of the room. Hang on a sec. Come on. Oh. Come on. Go. Sorry about that. My dog needed to get out. Hopefully she didn't need to go all the way out. 1 second. Can you let Rosie out, please? Okay, sorry, I'm back. Oh, what happened while I was away? Anything good? Yeah, JJ, it is a nice lifestyle. I love being around the water. So anytime I get a chance to go out on the beach, I'm happy. Swedish? No, I have not, Raid. Oh, my eyes are so bad tonight. Sorry, I'm squinting to see the screen. Stayed up too late last night. Yeah, not familiar, Raid, at all. Sorry about that. Soul, are you still here? Oh, there you are. I think they're for you. Surstrumming? The heck is it? What is that? I don't know if I've ever heard of that. A smelly delicacy? All right, I'll take your word for it. There's tons of things that I don't know about, that's for sure. Oh, yeah, aged sardines? Oh, no, thank you. Definitely not my thing. Oh, Jennifer, thank you very much. I'm glad you subscribed. And please come back and make your way out to the ocean and breathe in some of that salt air. I love it. And thank you for subscribing, Jennifer. Very nice. Okay, right, I get it. Oh, that does not sound good. But people eat that? Yeah, no thanks. Not happening for me. Okay, Soul, sorry you didn't get to stay very long. Please come back again. I'm trying to get on earlier in the evening, so I was a little earlier tonight. Last night I didn't start till 11:30 my time, so yeah, no thanks, Raid. Okay, so let me experience and opinion of franchise. I don't have. I know people that have done franchises and they've done okay. I don't have any experience in setting one up, so I'm going to say my experience is in starting yourself. Which may or may not be more. I'm sure there's things about it that are better and things about it that are worse than a franchise. But the franchise, you do have the backing of the franchise, so there is something to that. But I really don't know about franchising. And if I were doing something today, I don't know if I would think of a franchise. I would think start something of my own. But that's just my mindset. And I'm either stupid enough or whatever you might say to just think, if I think of something, I'll say, well, let's see if we can't make that happen. Doesn't always work, clearly, but that's just kind of my mindset. So if I had a good idea or thought it was a good idea, I would start to investigate it and see if it was something I could do, or do a startup, like you said. 500 grand or free food for life? The 500 grand, is that tax free? If that's 500,000 tax free, then that's worth, I'll pay for the food for life. Most likely, and just what you could earn on it, it would pay for the food. I didn't see Lemmy say anything like that. Kellogg from Fallout 4. Okay. I'll look that up. I don't either, Lemmy, so don't worry about it. Wait, taco truck. Fallout sodas at Costco? Huh. Oh, I can't. Miranda, I can't see it. My eyes are so bad I can't see that. Whatever you just put on the screen there, that little emoji or whatever it is, I can't see it. I apologize. Yeah, voice to text is clearly not what we hope it is all the time. Oh, I didn't know that. Didn't know that about Fallout. Oh, an oyster emoji. Okay, thank you. Sorry, like I said, I'm squinting to see the screen, and my eyes are so tired. Or clam, either one. It's okay. I get it. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I need to have this on my on a like 100 inch. But I don't have a 100 inch, but it'd be nice on a 100 inch big screen. Yeah, I know. It's in the room where there's other people around, and I don't want to disturb everybody else in the house. I mean, it's not like I have a small screen. I've got a 20, whatever this is, 22-inch screen, but it's still, when I'm this tired, it's hard to see. Lemmy, thank you for coming, and let me know when you get the book. I'm interested to see what you think of it. And hopefully you got a little bit out of my oyster talk tonight. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to last too much longer either. I'm exhausted today, but need to open up that window. Thank you, Miranda. Oyster videos. I think just the, Miranda, just the ones on the beach. I need to do one of opening up an oyster so people could see it, because a lot of people haven't ever seen it be opened. Awesome, Lemmy. I'm really, yeah. I'd be interested to hear what you think after you've read some of it. Jones Soda Company. Yeah, a lot of people white label their stuff. Yeah, maybe I'll look at the. I got to check the tide schedule and see when I can get on the beach and crack open a couple, so people can see what it looks like and how to open it. Because again, most people don't even know how to open an oyster because it's not in their wheelhouse. I mean, if you live in the Midwest, most people are anywhere not around oysters, you probably haven't seen it, so might be interesting. But yeah, the Miranda, the ones, if you go look at my shorts, I think I've done two. I think two oyster videos that you can look at. But I think they're basically just to the beach. Black China. Oh, inland California. Yeah, so you probably have not seen oysters where you're at. I haven't made that trek in a long time to drive I-5 down, or the coast for that matter. Oh, I know where you're at. That's a pretty drive, actually, from Sacramento up to Tahoe. I've done that a few times. Yeah, it's very nice country there. Tahoe, I guess, is massively expensive now, but kind of like everywhere else, I guess. But no oysters. No, there's no oysters there for sure. Yeah, you know it back in the 70s, so it wasn't that bad, but It's because it's so beautiful there, and that's where the money went. So Miranda, why is it dangerous in the water there? I'm not familiar with that. Live on, oh, you want me to open the oyster live on stream, Raid? Is that what you're saying? Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Oh, okay, so funny you should say that. I don't remember exactly what location we were in, but we were on opposite. I was in a boat and we were on the opposite side of Lake Tahoe. This is 30 years ago, and we decided to go back to where we were staying. And I looked and I thought, well, there doesn't seem to be many boats out. We were in a big boat, typical, 20, 22-foot boat, and the waves that we went through to get back were 6, 7, 8 feet. I mean, we were lucky. It was stupid to go, but we did, and we made it. But I know what you're talking about now. You're correct. Oh, okay, fair enough. He streams the harvesting. Oh, I think I've seen that. Yeah, it was quite terrifying actually. And then once we got behind, because it was the wind, once we got kind of in the shadow of the mountain, I guess it was westerly, then the waves died down. But it was for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. And there was nobody else out there. So if anything happened, we were toast. And the water is cold. You're right. I forgot about that. No, when those waves came up, it was like an ocean in there. And that's hard to fathom because it's inland and it's high up, however, what is it, 6,000 feet up? You just don't think about that on a lake, but at least that kind of lake. Great Lakes or something, yes, but not there. And yeah. So you're right, it can be dangerous. Seriously? Every weekend? That's horrible. One second, I gotta grab this. Hello. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Just let me know when you come on with your thing. Okay. Okay, thanks for letting me know. I'm just streaming, so I'm in the middle of that. But just let me know what you're gonna do. That's okay. Just let me know what you're doing. Bye. Okay, sorry about that. 20,000. No, I wouldn't want to go deep in the water like that either. Am I a hoarder? No, I'm storing stuff for a friend, and unfortunately, it's in my office. So, um, yeah, it's just I'm stuck with it for a while. I was supposed to be out of here in a week or so, but I don't think that's going to happen. Wow, that's awful, Miranda. Yeah, it's the cold. You can kind of, if you're close enough to shore, you can get around that. But if there's a current, like you're saying, that's people underestimate how how strong a swimmer they would need to be to swim against currents in a river. Yeah, I can't do that, Raid. Sorry. A keeper's fee. No, he'll eventually get it out of here. I'm not worried. But until then, it's messy and I don't care. I'm not going to, long story, and I'm not going to do that to him. Tallest bridge in California. How tall is the bridge? American River. I'm gonna have to look that up. No, this is different. I'm not going to get screwed on this one. So, but I know what you mean. I've seen that happen before. So, it was in Fast and Furious. 700 feet. Wow, that's really high. Now I got to find that in Fast and Furious too, and see what scene it was, or more than one scene maybe. Hello, Rusty. Well, tonight we've been talking about a lot about food, and now we're talking about the American River near Lake Tahoe. That's not cool, right? Oh, they jumped a car off the bridge. Wow. Now I see. I don't remember the movie, so I got to go figure it out and see. And I can look. I'm sure. I guarantee you, somewhere on YouTube, there's a clip of it. Oh, freshwater sharks. So yeah, Rusty, I gave a little talk about oysters earlier. That was kind of our big topic tonight. But again, now we're talking with Miranda about her. Do clams spawn? Yes, they do. Same as oysters, just same yet different. Because the clams are actually under the ground, so they have a neck that sticks out of the dirt. Not this far, but just to the surface. And when it's time to spawn, they split their spawn out in the water, and it spawns and catches, and those little seeds then burrow themselves into the ground. Rusty, I've heard about that. I think you're right. Wasn't that down in like Arkansas or something where that happened, or somewhere down south, I thought? Fried clam strips. That'd be good. Clam chowder would be great. That'd be good right now. I did this last night and I got hungry when we started talking about food. Well, I know, Raid, I've heard of bull sharks actually being in freshwater. Warm and murky. Yeah, I've never spent any time in the Midwest to see the lakes, but that's an interesting take. I'm not familiar with. Yeah, I think I watched a show one time about a bull shark that was hundreds of miles up out of the salt water. I want to say like 300-400 miles or something really weird. No, no, I got that about the great white, but but yeah, no, the bull sharks. I watched a show about that one time, and they were showing that. In fact, there was a place one time that was near a river flooded, and in this small lake around some golf course, they had sightings of a shark, and the shark got up in the flood, got into that, and when the water went down, it couldn't get back out, and the shark actually survived in this small lake for quite some time. Humphrey the Humpback. That's funny. Oh, I found what I liked in the 80s and stuck with it. Now I don't have to think about how to style my hair. Humphrey the Humpback, that's funny. Oh. Yeah, I don't remember the details around that, but yeah. Well, where I'm at, they catch a lot of mud sharks. They call them dogfish, mud shark. They're usually about 2 to 4 feet. Went up the river. Huh. Now I got to look that up. How long ago was that, Miranda? Technically, you can eat mud sharks. Most people don't. There's not really a lot of meat on them. Well, that's a long time ago. $1985. Yeah. That's quite a while ago. Yeah, the mud sharks are eating all the other bottom fish. Yeah, I don't know of anybody that eats mud shark. I mean, you can, but they're fun to catch. That's why people do it, and then catch and release. Shrimp is awfully good. In the same area where the oysters are at here, there's great shrimping, not real close, but 20 miles away or so. Great shrimping grounds. And the shrimp that they pull up around here, where I'm at, probably down. I mean, the best shrimp come from around 270 to 300 feet deep. They don't farm them here, but they do farm. A lot of the shrimp that you get come from farms. So if you get actual fresh shrimp, you're far better off than the farm stuff, just because of they're in open waters. And I want to say they come from, I don't know what I want to say Vietnam, but I think they might come from there. So Miranda, the least, you mean for oysters? So it has to do with depth of tide. So some places could, I mean, imagine you're at the shoreline where the uplands meet the water. You might have 30 or 40 feet out from that point, or you could have hundreds of feet out from that point. There's a place called Willapa Bay, also in Washington, and it's a massive saltwater inlet, and that thing goes dry, and there's hundreds and hundreds of acres of ground in there, and it goes out a long way. I mean, there's places around where I grew up where the beach runs out 500-600 feet, and depending on the ownership that they have, they can own all of that or part of it. Because many people own to what's called extreme low, meaning as low as the tide could ever go, and they own that all the way out. Jeez. I don't know if you're kidding or not, Ray. I hadn't heard that, so. Oh, no worries, Miranda. I like talking about that kind of stuff. And it's interesting for you because you don't know about it. And I guarantee you, I'm learning stuff about the American River and the current, the water temperature. So you've got something to offer me. But oysters are just they're just different for most people. Most people just typically don't know about them or how they're farmed, how they're grown, any of that. But I will try and do a video going out and opening some up so people could see that process. How long have the oysters existed? They've been here ever for as long as people, probably, in some form, I would guess. And as long as people have been here in this area for hundreds and hundreds of years, they've existed thousands of years, I would imagine. Humphrey the humpback whale. There it is. Huh. So Miranda, it's saying that he did it in both 1985 and 1990. He did it twice. And the second time he got stuck in a mud flat and they had to pull him out. And was last sighted near the Farallon Islands in 1991. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. 86. Wow, you're just a kid. It does go by quick. It was when you were young, you couldn't wait to get older, and once you get older, you kind of realize how good it was when you were a kid. Unfortunately, you don't realize. Yeah, you just don't realize it till you wish you had those brains when you were 18 instead of 50. But that's just how life goes. Drink beer. I don't drink beer. Wouldn't do me any good. I drink root beer. Yeah, it's funny though. I mean, I'm not making fun of you for being 40 or whenever your birthday is, but it just it seems like a long time ago. Yeah, Miranda, I'm not a fan of beer, but to each their own. I don't know why that's not staying live. God dang it. Yeah, you know, it's funny. You're. I'm glad that you enjoy talking with me. I still like to hear from the people that are older than me because they've seen things that and experienced life that we don't or haven't yet. And unfortunately, in our society, I'm not saying this because I'm older, but our culture doesn't value um, or value enough. It's not that they don't value, but I don't think they value enough the experience of uh, people who are older, 60s, 70s, 80s. Those people have knowledge that, and if they've had time to evaluate what's happened in front of them that, you know, a 20, 30-year-old just hasn't had yet. Doesn't mean that they're not smart. They just, that life experience, there's nothing but that beats that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm sure you get, they're happy to see somebody new and talk about things that aren't old, probably. And you get to learn from them and their experiences. And usually it comes from the life that they've lived, not necessarily from uh, like books, what I call book smart. It's the life that they've lived. There's so much value in that. What their first car was like. Yeah, that's interesting. And I've seen you bring your cats. I've seen some places online where they take like typically golden retrievers or, you know, dogs as well, and the people just the older people light up when they see the animals come, and it's like something, their brain starts working better again when they're around the animals. It's really cool to see that. Well, I mean, think about it. They're if they're good for us, they're good for everybody. I mean, people are around the dogs and they just people around animals are much happier. Yeah, see, there you go. I mean, who doesn't like an animal like that? Because the animals don't care if you're old or young or rich or poor. They don't care about any of that crap. They just like people, and there's no judgment on their part. Well, maybe maybe some of the cats I've known were a little bit judgy, but not all of them for sure. Yeah, the little kittens are great. Same with puppies. I mean, you just how do you not like that? I agree with you. There's nothing better than an animal for that. It's funny because I see things and talk to people and they always talk about, oh, you're going to let your baby be around that big dog or whatever. And I'm thinking, yeah, best place for them to be because that's the part of their pack. They'll never hurt the baby, and the baby's probably, or the young child is probably protected better than anything. Yeah, I think that I have nothing against cats. I had some when I was little, but I think that people will respond a little bit more to dogs just because the dog will give a little bit more back than the cat. But that's my take. because I don't know how your kittens or what your cats are like with the people. They had, it was at the Olympic trials, whenever that was, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 summers ago. And for the swimming, that they had a big swimming thing in Indianapolis for the trials. And they had about, I don't know, 7 or 8 dogs in the back staging area. And the athletes just loved it. They went crazy to have the animals there. You volunteer at a kitten hospital? I follow a bunch of people on different social media platforms that go to, I follow dogs people, but so it's fun to watch that. I think that's great that they have those dogs for people. I've seen dentists that have, this one dentist, I can't remember where they were at, and they had a golden retriever, and the golden retriever, if you wanted it on your lap, he would just crawl up there and lay on your lap the whole time while you're in the dentist chair. Excuse me, I gotta grab something to drink. And what a great way for emotional support to have a dog. Sorry about that. You can hear it in my voice. I'm getting worn out. Yeah, they really are. I mean, there's a, if you like animals, if you go on, they're on a bunch of platforms, but primarily I think on Instagram, there's a guy, his name's Val something, Val Gruner, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he has a lion. It's not his pet, but he's been caring for it since it was born. Its mother was killed or died or something. And so this lion followed him, and he cleaned up, the lion's name is Surgus. If you look up Surga, the lion, on Instagram, you'll see it. It's a really great story. I think you might like that. Yeah, me too. It's nice talking with you. But look up Surga on Instagram. It's really a cool story. I don't want to spoil it for you. I gave you just enough to send you in the right direction, but it's fun. Yes, Alonzo, everything's fine. I'm storing a ton of stuff for somebody that is, anyway, it's not my stuff. I'm storing it for them. And I'm hoping it's out of here soon, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I do too. Root beer is one of my favorites. Miranda, thanks for coming by. It's always nice to chat with you, and you can jump in. I like these kind of chats. Are always interesting and fun for me, and I hope they're fun for you too. But hopefully you get some rest. Okay, Alonzo, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Yeah, I probably better sign off. I'm really getting tired, but I'm going to try to be back on again tomorrow night, hopefully around the same time. So to everybody who came by, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you again soon.